I'll be the anchor, and I'll be joined by Gil Alexander, Mitch Moss, and Paulie Howard. We'll have opinions you can bet on. It's VSiN's Big Game Betcast, live on February 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Tune in to VSiN during the big game to take sharp action on the live action.
Who's going to win the big game? I think you make a case for both teams. I think it's a great matchup. Patriots, could they actually lose two big games back-to-back? They've never done that before. They've won two back-to-back, but never lost two back-to-back. You've got such a contrast in age and coaching quarterback for the Patriots to coaching quarterback for the Rams. Again, you make a case for both teams, but I lean toward the Rams a little bit. They were the best team in football through the first 8 weeks of the season. I'll be happy to root for whoever we need, but I think you make a good case for the Rams, especially getting points.
I wish I knew who was exactly going to win, but here's my prediction. When you look at and you break down the strengths of these teams and the deficiencies of these teams and how they've gotten to this point, I'm going to go with a little bit more experience. I'm going to say that the Patriots 34, Rams 24, what will be an exciting game and a game that'll be filled with lots of action on the field and at the betting counter.
Boy, that's a really tough question. I remember, obviously, when the Patriots really came to, and the team they beat was the Rams. And I think this would be a really nice way to end that 18, 19-year run that the Patriots have had by having the Rams win this one. So I'm going to go with the Rams.
If you ask me today, I'm going to say the Patriots. Looking like about a 20-17 score, but I may change tomorrow. I've been changing. I originally thought it was going to be the Rams. Today I think it's the Patriots. But if you nail it down today, Patriots.
I like New England in this year's edition of the Super Bowl. I think the experience factor with Brady over Goff is important, and I also think Brady will be able to convert in the red zone much better than New Orleans did in the NFC Championship game.
I'm sticking with the New England Patriots to win the Super Bowl. I think that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick will have a master plan and will be very successful against the Rams in this Super Bowl. So I'm sticking with the Patriots and laying the points.
I'm Ron Flatter with your VSiN action update from the floor of the South Point Casino, the sportsbook right behind me. Proportionately more Rams money coming into Las Vegas sportsbooks, including this one, than there was at this time last week. But most of the bets are still on the Patriots for today's Super Bowl, 57% according to Covers.com. But the biggest shadow has been cast by an unidentified bettor who has made 3 wagers at as many shops, totaling $3.8 million. All on the Rams, on the money line, in play at around plus 120. He stands to make more than $4.5 million if LA wins straight up. The point spread seems like it is in stone, with New England favored by 2.5. There is 15 cents juice at CG to lay the points. Otherwise, across Nevada, it's a dime on each side. The total is mostly down a half point today to 56. Still 56.5 at the Wynn and Boyd Gaming. On the money line, the Rams are anywhere from plus 115 to 125. The Patriots minus 135 to 145. NBA, 3 matinees today. Boston, a 3.5-point favorite at home against Oklahoma City. Midway through the fourth quarter, Celtics lead it 112 to 103. Clippers visiting Toronto. No Kyle Lowry today for the Raptors, but they're still a 9.5-point favorite. Late second quarter, it is Toronto leading at 56 to 43. The Grizzlies covered in their 96-84 win at New York. Turning now to the National Hockey League. Edmonton at Montreal, the Canadiens, 65-cent favorites. Second intermission, it is Edmonton, though, leading it 3-2. Calgary, a 20-cent favorite at Carolina. Flames lead that one early third, 3-2. Even money underdog Boston won at Washington 1-0. They're playing the final round of the Phoenix Open. Ricky Fowler, the 20-1 shot coming in at 19 under par through 10. He's 5 shots ahead of Brandon Grace, the 80-1 shot. Matt Kuchar is another shot behind him, along with Justin Thomas. John Rahm, the pre-tournament favorite, he's at 10 under par, 10 shots off the pace. Today is the final day that you can use VSIN to help Gridiron Greats. Order your VSIN All Access package to take you through next year's Super Bowl. It's $240, and that's less than $5 a week. $25 of that goes to the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund, which helps former pro football players who are in need. Stand by for a live edition, the Super Bowl edition of My Guys in the Desert. Brent Musburger is next, here on VSIN.
You know him, you love him, and now we have him at VSIN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. It helps to be connected, and nobody knows more of the bookies in Las Vegas than Brent Musburger. It's My Guys in the Desert with the legend of the guys behind the counter, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network at vsin.com and SiriusXM Channel 204. Live from the VSIN studios, it's the one and only Brent Musburger.
Welcome everybody as the crowd gathers here at the South Point and all of the books throughout the Nevada, Reno, Las Vegas. It doesn't matter. The sports books are crowded today, but it's standing room only here at the South Point as I welcome you inside. Ron Flatter gave you a great update on what's going on. Vinny Maiulo is riding along with me. And you know, this is a very special anniversary for those of us here at VSIN on Super Sunday. And who better to celebrate with us than the man who made it all possible right here? He built this beautiful studio, VSIN, right here adjacent to the sports book at the South Point Hotel and Casino at the tip of the Strip. I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to welcome, Vinny, our favorite guy, Mr. Michael Gaughan. Michael, welcome, my friend. Great to have you with us.
Brent, thank you for the introduction. This is only because of you. This is our third Super Bowl. We've had 2 full years, and this thing has exceeded my expectations. And I'd like to thank you and your whole team for being here.
Thank you very much, Michael. We've got some great people who work alongside Vinny and me, and it is such a pleasure to come down to the South Point, Vinny, and especially on a day like this. Now, I thought no crowd could be bigger than the rodeo. I mean, there's no man in this town that's bigger with the rodeo than Mr. Gaughan. That's right. But I walked in today and I said, "Holy Toledo, what do we have here?"
And Brent, let's remember this. So the energy and the images that we're seeing, and those, of course, are live images right here adjacent to the VSIN studio here at the South Point Sportsbook. But let's remember, this scene is being duplicated. This is what it looks like throughout the property. Wherever you go throughout the South Point, this is the kind of energy. These are the kinds of crowds you're seeing. And let's remember this: in the ballroom, in the arena, there's accommodations for about 5,000 folks to be able to wager on the game.
Michael, tell me about the chairs, the available seating here at the South Point.
We're going to exceed 6,000 people. We're physically out of chairs.
Out of chairs.
Out of chairs. We got this in it's in the showroom, the arena.
The arena.
The exhibit hall.
You had to open up the arena then, too, for the overflow.
All 3 banquet rooms, all 3 lounges. We are physically out of seats.
Now, for those of you who don't know, the Gaughan family goes way back with odds making and Las Vegas. And Michael's father, Jackie Gaughan, one of the legendary builders of downtown Las Vegas, the El Cortez, among other facilities. And, of course, I first met Michael when he operated and owned the Barbary Coast downtown at the corner of Flamingo and Las Vegas Boulevard. And so he goes way back. But, Michael, have you ever seen any single event grow like the Super Bowl has during your and my lifetime?
I never thought. I went to the first Super Bowl in the Coliseum. The Coliseum was maybe 60% full.
Right.
And it was kind of a disappointment. But after the third Super Bowl, when the Jets won it, it's been fabulous ever since. This town, like last year, Minnesota drew 60,000 people. We drew over 300,000 people in Las Vegas.
And we will be upwards of that, I'm assuming. I had to go over to the airport the other day to pick some folks up on Friday, and it was jammed. People down in the baggage area and everything. They love to come to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl, don't they?
We for the first time in about 3 years, we're completely sold out. Usually we run about 95%, but this year we're oversold.
Oh, so no wonder Ryan Growney had that big smile on his face, right?
He's taking credit for it.
You know, Brent, when you think about what Michael just said about the occupancy and the fact that, by the way, the folks that did bet over the 5,900 chairs obviously cashed that with the $6,000
That was the first prop.
That was the first prop before the game even started. But think about this now, with 7 other jurisdictions around the country that have legalized sports wagering, the fact of the matter is folks still enjoy the Las Vegas experience, as you can see from right here at the South Point, and I think that's certainly going to continue. I really foresee that.
Yeah, and Jorge, do we have that picture of another Gone, a young man that hard for me to recognize when he's not on his racing helmet and is not cranking it up and ready to go, because on every Super Sunday you will find Brendan Gone, okay, one of Michael's children, okay, and he is behind the counter, and his Sunday task, working with this crowd right here. He's at the very end, and Michael, he's one of the tellers.
He works 1 day a year, Brett.
I love that. I needed that information to use against my buddy Brendan. There it is. There's Brendan. Look at him. He look up and say, "What? You know? See, Pops. I really am working. Okay, here he is. He's got the line."
And you know, Brent, here, so for the folks listening and viewing at vsin.com, he's the answer to a great question. He's the only person to win a NASCAR race and balance his draw on Super Bowl Sunday. How about that for a parlay?
And Michael, I can't. He told me he's got a pretty good car coming up down in Daytona in February.
Well, he's somewhat semi-retired, but he's going to do all 4 restrictor plate races for Bird Oil.
Okay.
And I understand the car he's got. They bought him a new car for this race. I think it's an RCR car, and he's got in a restrictor plate race. Anybody can win that. That's for an open race. Who's ever lucky.
I still tell the anecdote. I'm leaving one day with you and Mrs. Gone, and he decided to go backwards on the high banked oval coming out of turn 3, and he got up high, and his mom was. Take it down, Brendan. Get off of here. Come on, Brendan. Go back down below. That was a great experience. And so tell me, because I know you checked in with Chris Andrews back there. Who do you need to win this game? Patriots?
All week long we've been high on the Patriots, and in the last 2 days we've been switched over. I'm now a Patriot fan. Up to early yesterday afternoon, I was a Ram fan. Now I'm a Patriot fan.
And folks, that's the life of a bookie. Whichever way the money is flowing and coming in, he's going the other way. And I can't tell you, Vinny, how many Ram jerseys I ran into coming back to the VSiN studio.
I have to tell you, Brent, and during our seminar on Friday night here at South Point, when we were talking about the game, at that point it was really pretty much all one-sided with Patriot money, as Michael had indicated. There was the one $300,000 bet on the Rams at plus 120 on the money line, but substantial Ram money has shown here in the last 24 hours, and as anticipated, we figured that's why you never know. You don't always ask us who we like; you ask us who we need.
In a little bit over 2 hours, speaking of who we need, Michael. The coin flip. The coin flip. Now, who do you need? Do you need heads or tails, my friend?
I've not checked that prop, but I was going to say we won't know who we really need until about 3:05.
3:05.
What time does the game start?
3:30.
3:30. Well, at about 3:33, we will know who we need, because this could easily go either way.
Okay. Michael Gone. Okay. The legendary man himself. And Michael, thank you so much for coming in and celebrating this anniversary with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Anytime, my friend. Okay. Michael Gone, who founded the South Point Hotel and Casino at the tip of the Strip. Great book. Oh, by the way, before I let you go, one final question.
What?
Why do you always leave it 11-10? Why don't you ever have extra juice like these other people? What would you?
I'm out of the old school. I don't know any better.
That's why we love you, Michael. Okay, at 11-10.
Well, that comes from Michael's dad, Jackie Gahn, who always instilled in us at 11 is greater than 10, and they're putting up more to win a little bit less. So the math is in our favor.
Not a bad lesson indeed. Okay, Vinny, we're going to take a break and come back and update folks on what's going on, not only here in Nevada, but there is one difference with this Super Bowl. Yep. It's legal to bet in 7 other states. Who would have thought that? VSiN.com, SiriusXM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at VSiN.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Matt, tell us about the BetCast, because this is so much fun. You did it for the national championship game, and now you're going to be doing it again on Sunday, hosting this thing.
Yeah, looking forward to it because I thought we did a really good show that night. We had a lot of people pitch in. Obviously, it's going to be the same way for the Super Bowl, the big game betcast. I really think it's kind of the future of where, these major championship-type broadcasts are going. Because people want more than what the networks deliver, especially when sports betting is going to be legal in so many states. And I know I get so many questions about live betting and props, and I think a lot of people who watched our college football betcast were kind of educated on how live betting works. And it's really fascinating for people, I think, to hear us analyze this stuff as the game develops.
It's the fastest growing action option for bettors, and VSiN has all the analysis you need to take action on the live action. Tune in next Sunday, February 3rd, for VSiN's Big Game Betcast. Matt Humans and Matthew Holt will be joined by former NFL executive and current VSiN host Michael Lombardi to follow all the in-play betting action, providing sharp betting analysis throughout the big game between the Patriots and Rams. We'll expose the constantly changing lines during the game from multiple sports books as the game unfolds. We'll also follow all the actionable props as they cash during the game. Plus, we'll have live in-game numbers from the South Point's brain trust of odds makers setting the lines as the game unfolds. Ron Flatter will provide betting updates from the book. Windy City Sam will have updates from the party at the Downtown Event Center. And you won't want to miss our special halftime show. I'll be the anchor, and I'll be joined by Gil Alexander, Mitch Moss, and Paulie Howard. They'll give their expert opinions on the first half action and what to look for in the second half. We'll have opinions you can bet on. It's VSiN's Big Game Betcast, live on February 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific on SiriusXM 204, VSiN.com, the VSiN app, and Fubo TV. Tune in to VSiN during the big game to take sharp action on the live action.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and VSiN.com.
My Guys in the Desert, and the countdown continues for the bettors. Here we are at the South Point at the tip of the strip. Huge crowd on hand, lining up at the windows. But the biggest change between Super Bowl 53 and the 52 that preceded it is this scene right here. It is legal in the state of New Jersey and 6 other states other than Nevada. In other words, a total of 8 states in the United States to bet on the Super Bowl today. And there you see the scene as we welcome in Johnny Avello from DraftKings. And, of course, they have shops in New Jersey and Mississippi. Johnny, thanks. I know how busy you are today on Super Sunday. But can you give us an update on what's happening outside of Nevada in New Jersey and Mississippi with DraftKings, my friend?
Hey, Brent. Yeah, New Jersey's having a good old time, just like we do in Nevada. They've got people lined up, just like we're accustomed to. People at the bar area surrounding all the monitors, trying to pick their spot for the game. sitting around looking at prop sheets. I mean, it's a zoo just like it is here. So it's good to see it in other locations and more locations to come, Brent.
Yeah, exactly. Now, is it still 2.5 in New Jersey and down in Mississippi like it is here in Nevada with the Patriots having settled in as a 2.5-point favorite, Johnny?
It is 2.5. I think it's 2.5 around the world because I haven't seen much difference. I know there's a couple of 2s out there, but not in the state of Nevada or in the state of New Jersey or Mississippi. But I don't think the 3 is going to show up anymore. It did show up early in the week. There were some solid 3 flats and some 3 late -20 if you wanted the dog, but they have dried up and probably not going to see him again for this Super Bowl.
Okay, and Vinny, what about the over-under number here at the South Point?
Brent just went back to 56 since we came on the air at the top of the hour. We came in 56, went to 56.5, and now right back to 56 again. So public is betting both sides, Patriots to the over, Rams to the over. But once it hits 56.5, we see under money, and that's some more by more seasoned and professional bettors.
And Johnny, how about the over-under number in the precincts other than Nevada? Are we seeing it settle in at 56?
Yeah, we're also at 56. And, that's funny to me how the so-called wise guys would take 56.5 because 57 is really the key number, not 56. And so that tells me that they don't see this thing reaching 57, and they're taking what they believe is the highest number. So I find that quite interesting.
Let me throw this out to you and Vinny. We all speculated, no, I'm not including you, but certainly my friends and myself, we speculated that it would get to 3, and we all kind of held off. Does it mean that the big money on the Rams showed up on the money line? You didn't need to attract Ram money with the field goal? How do you read it settling in at 2.5? I know that Chris Andrews tried 3 for all of about 15 minutes and 17 seconds, and somebody hit him with 6 figures. But Johnny, how do you read it settling in at 2.5 and not going to 3?
Here's what I do as a bookmaker, and I think the other guys are thinking similarly, Brent, is that if you took a big money line bet or you continue to take Rams money line, you can stay at 2.5 or go to 2. You certainly wouldn't want to be at 3, and you would hope as a bookmaker that the number doesn't fall anywhere in there. That way, you might get some of the customers to lay the 2.5 on the Patriots and take the Rams on the money line. And actually, if it did fall, it might turn out really well. You could end up picking up at both sides. So I think that's what the bookmakers were kind of thinking. That's the way I think when I'm booking and taking huge money line money on one side and getting point spread money on the other.
Johnny, spot on, Brent. Great explanation of that. And about an hour ago, 220,000 at plus 2.5 on the Rams. Gentleman stepped up to the counter and didn't feel it was going to go up, so he grabbed it at that point. Johnny, I wanted to ask you a question in terms of the prop bets. What you're seeing in New Jersey and Mississippi, because as you know, here in Nevada, a lot of times the prop bets, depending on the property, can be anywhere from 40 to 60% of the overall handle. What would you say the ratio is, say, in New Jersey and in Mississippi?
It looks to me, as in New Jersey, that it's around 60-40 game. Mississippi, I would say, is higher than that. I'd say it's more like 70-30 game. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm seeing from those 2 locations. The guys in Jersey, we put up some pretty crazy props, and so the guys are betting some of that stuff, and we got some exposure on some of that. Like, will a lineman score a touchdown during the game? And people are taking a shot at that because they're getting a huge number. And so, we got some I know Gronkowski to score the first touchdown is also a hazard for us. So the props are being bet quite heavily in Jersey, and it seems like some are just getting hit by multiple bettors, and I think it's because of the large number and the large payoff that you can receive if you do hit it.
Are you seeing the majority of the bets to the statistics going over, Johnny? Because we've seen it here quite a bit. You mentioned Gronkowski. We're seeing everything with him is being bet either yes, that he, for instance, he will score, but over yardage received and over a number of receptions. Same thing with Todd Gurley, and I know we'll get into it a little bit more in detail. But we're seeing, as we kind of had anticipated, that the yes and over in terms of the yardage on the specific players is quite popular. Are you seeing that as well?
We're seeing that as well. In other words, things happening is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
They like to bet that things are going to happen. Guys are going to score. Guys are going to go over. Attempts are going to go over. And that's in in contrast to seeing the wise guys bet the under. So sometimes you hope that under does happen, because if the under does happen, then most of those things are not going to happen. So when you're booking, these are all the things you look at, and sometimes you don't mind losing on one because you know you're going to pick something up on the other side.
One other question, Johnny, before I know you're booking the game and things like that. We put up the futures. Did you guys put up next year's futures yet for folks to take advantage of? Yeah.
We did. Yep. Oh, when you've been in a game long enough, when you have the crowd in town, you want to put up all the offerings you can, because you're not going to have this type of crowd now for a while, not at least until March Madness hits. Mm-hmm. So try to put up everything you possibly can that pertains to not only the Super Bowl but next year, but anything, golf futures, tennis futures, over-unders, baseball wins, whatever you can put up and you feel comfortable with, this is the time to do it.
All right, Johnny Avello from DraftKings. Johnny, thanks so much for giving some of your valuable time here on Super Sunday. I know you guys are busy right now at DraftKings, but thanks a lot, my friend, and enjoy Super Sunday. You don't have to wear a necktie today. Think about that.
I don't have one on, but it sure feels like I have one. More like a noose, I think.
All right, my friend. Johnny Avello from DraftKings. The 2.5-point spread. Vinny, I went back last night just to do a quick check, and I think most people know that the Patriots haven't been engaged in very close Super Bowls. In fact, the biggest spread with this group, with Brady and Belichick, this is the 9th Super Bowl. They've been in 8 previous. The biggest number, the biggest difference at the end of the game was 6 in overtime against New England. 5 of the Patriots Super Bowls decided by 3 points, and 2 by 4 points. So if you just look at mathematical history involving Coach Bill Belichick and quarterback Tom Brady, you think we're going to have a close game because history proves it.
Terrific point, Brent. And in those several of those games, they had to come from behind.
Absolutely.
Remember, you cited the 6-point victory 2 years ago against the Falcons in overtime. They were behind for a significant portion of that game. So they do play them close, which is another reason why too. And again, the 10-cent straddle here at the South Point with the money line. So terrific money line action, Brent, on both of these teams. By the way, money line sitting right now minus 128, plus 118. On the Rams. So lots of money line action as well. And conversely, the folks that like the Rams, they said, you know what? I think the Rams are going to have a shot of winning this game outright. So let me bet them on the money line.
Sort of an interesting situation regarding Coach Belichick. I think many of you have seen the story, and I find it far different. That yesterday he said, no, we're not going to have a formal walkthrough. Each team's given time over at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So we invited in all the relatives and friends of the players to come in. Some 800 people came over to the Patriots walkthrough. This is Bill Belichick's way of sort of changing things up a little bit after they fell behind and lost to the Eagles a year ago in a wild game. Back and forth, 41-33 was the final score there. I thought that was interesting, and I want to point out one huge difference with the Patriots coming into this game from a year ago. You might recall that a year ago, the networks did not tell us, because I don't think they knew. Malcolm Butler was not only not going to start in that secondary, he wasn't going to see the field. And he arguably was Belichick and the Patriots' best corner, certainly one of them. I don't want to look past Gilmore. Gilmore obviously is rated better by all the rating services. But you had that little turmoil involving Butler, who is now with the Tennessee Titans. Neither side has really ever stood up and said, this is why that went down. But the New England Patriots were not the same team last year in Minneapolis that they are this year. And I think Coach Belichick proved it yesterday by calling off any kind of a formal walkthrough. I can't remember a Super Bowl coach inviting upwards of 800 people to come onto the field. Shows you a couple things. It shows that he's very, very confident and relaxed with this football team. They're playing their best football of the year. It doesn't mean a thing as far as winning or losing is concerned. I want to point that out. I've seen teams that look really good in their final practice, and they couldn't do a thing come game time. But it is different. It is a little bit of an unusual buildup for a Belichick team going forward. But the significant thing is, all of us would be absolutely stunned if somebody like Gilmore, one of the McCourty twins, Chung, Jonathan Jones, any of those kids would suddenly not be playing in the game. I think he's got a pat hand going into that game, and we're going to come back and talk some more about Super Bowl 53. Vinny Maiulo and I riding along, My Guys in the Desert, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
So we had this, it was 75.5 in 30 minutes. That's where they originally started. Half hour, you eat 76 nuggets, the grilled ones. You can know the fried.
Right.
You want to kill
Has to be grilled. I said grilled originally. Sure.
You did. 30 minutes. I think that's a good thing. We're going to make some alternate numbers of 99.5, get to 100, a little bonus on the plus money.
Okay, but the overall number is 75.5.
75.5. But the big bet that I want with you, we're tying into the Super Bowl. We're really gambling here, is with the total of the Super Bowl. You get 10 minutes, eat as many as you can. That number against the points in the Super Bowl.
But that's only 10 minutes, though.
That's only 10 minutes.
I want that, too.
I want
that with you, and I'll.
So we'll stop it at 10, however he has, and
he says time's not going to be a factor.
I've been in a few contests. You say that, but.
Most bettors, will the Patriots or Rams score 3 straight times? That's a prop that's available everywhere. And people see that the yes is at minus 220 and the no's at plus 180. And their immediate reaction is, no, plus 180? I get that much bang for my buck? 3 straight times. By the way, this doesn't include extra points, right? Wow. I'm totally taking that because these are good football teams. And the other team, well, chances are they won't score 3 times in a row. It happens all the time.
I don't know. They seem to. Hey, you've been saying that. You've been saying that for how many years now?
Crazy things happen when you sell your soul to the devil.
I have Patriots fatigue too, but I thought this matchup, Patriots and Rams, would be the best for the handle. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, actually, I think what you might have seen if it was a Chiefs-Rams rematch of that 105-point performance not so long ago. But again, I don't think it's going to be any less. You could call it, Patriots fatigue to some extent, but there's no Super Bowl fatigue. There's no fatigue with the Super Bowl and the wagering that goes with it and everything associated with it.
Update for Sportsbook here in South. And LA money has not budged the point spread here in Las Vegas, as they have been most of the last 2 weeks. The Patriots are still favored by 2.5 to beat the Rams, but it's the total that's been inching down. After getting rise in the million right after the conference championship, it has ticked downward and almost every here in Nevada, taking off the hook to make the over-under 56 today.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204 and vsin.com.
Yeah, well, we'll get back to Ron with that update just as soon as we get a clear signal. As you can just imagine, with everybody moving around and everything that's going on at this time, it's probably rare that we don't have more problems like that. And Vinny, this is such a busy day all around, and you have said all along you thought it's going to be very close to breaking the record here in the state of Nevada.
Brent, last year, $158 million, which did set a record. And it was up $20 million from the year before. I am not going to marry myself to a number, but I think we could easily exceed that. It wouldn't shock me. The numbers are trending that way. And I know January, if it's an indicator, for instance, here at the South Point, we were up about 11%.
Yeah, that's just absolutely huge. And, of course, the prop business, it never ceases to amaze me. Mm-hmm. How much prop business is done over the course of the week leading up to the Super Bowl.
Brent, and obviously I spend a lot of time at the counter. One of the things that I pay attention to is not only who the folks are betting in the game, but what else they're doing. Very few people are just coming up to the window and betting either the Rams or the Patriots in the total, but they're betting prop bets as well. Everybody that gets to the window bets the props as well.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody say, how do you like with the props? Yeah. After they first question, who do you like?
Exactly.
What do you think about some of the props? And we have on the line now a good friend of ours, Chuck Esposito from the Sunset Casino, one of the great stations group here in Las Vegas. And Chuck has always enjoyed Super Sunday. Thanks for spending some valuable time. I know how busy you are. How's everything going at the Sunset, Chuck?
It's going well, guys. Good to be with you guys, you and Vinny, and busy here, packed crowd, wall to wall from early this morning, late last night. But it's fun. It's a fun time for us on our side of the counter, as I know Vinny can attest to.
That's right, Chuck. Always good to be here, you buddy. And a couple of things. So I want to go down memory lane, and then I want to talk about today a little bit. So you and I, we worked a Super Bowl together at Caesars back in '87. Chuck, talk about how much different things are now compared to that one when we had about a dozen different prop bets.
They're much different, Vinny. As you guys alluded to, props have become such a big part of Big Game Sunday. They're the game within the game. They make up roughly 50% of the overall handle, maybe a greater number than that. And I think that's why you see these record handles year after year. As you said, about 12 props. I mean, it all kind of started in '86 with Fridge, more of a fun prop. We got slaughtered to it, but little did we know that it would propel prop betting to where it is today.
I told Brent we're still paying that one off.
That one and Devin Hester scoring the first touchdown of the game. I mean, you name it, we're still paying some of them off, but it really has helped, become, as you guys said, you may not like either side or the over or under, but there's 20-some-odd pages of props, 1,000 different ways to bet the game. Every play means something, and everybody is carrying around one of these colored packets and rooting for something on every play.
Hey, Chuck, one of the other differences is this: back then, everybody was individual. There were individual properties, but there are networks today. Describe a little bit, because we obviously are tied in with the Rampart up in Summerlin. But Station Casinos, how many actual locations are there where folks and you and the team over there, Jason McCormick and Art Manteris and everybody, are charting wagers for how many locations here in the state?
It's over 15, Vinny, if you include the Wildfire brand and some of our smaller properties as well. Properties throughout the valley, big sports books, great reinvestments in the video presentation for all of our guests. But you're right, there was a lot more individual properties now. But I think it's what each property can provide. Give you an unbelievable atmosphere, the great video presentation. There is some variation in props, and I think mobile is such a big part of it too. I mean, when we talked about in '87. You had all the guests who just came there, and the crowds just swelled throughout the day. Although that still occurs, now there's guests who come here, enjoy everything that all of our books have to offer, but they can play from the comfort of their seat or their living room and have all the props and everything in the palm of their hand.
Chuck, what are you dealing in the game right now in terms of the side, the total, and the money line?
hasn't moved a lot, Vinny. It's pretty consistent with what the consensus is out there right now. Early action was clearly on the Patriots. Best case for us, I would think, would be Patriots to win by 1 or 2 and the game to stay under. Patriots cover and over is probably worst case with still a few hours to go. Things we're rooting against, like I think most sports books, no safety, no overtime, no two-point conversion, which I'm not crazy about. I think there might be one. And Gronk, kind of the sentimental choice to win MVP.
Chuck, I hate to break this to you, but in the 52 previous Super Bowls, only one of them has wound up with a 1-point difference, and none of them have settled on a 2-point difference. Okay, I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? I
know that, Brent. Believe me, I was afraid you would mind me, but I was just giving you best case.
Hey, Chuck. Those of us. I mean, I'm going to be without my teaser. Here I was. The week starts. I said, these guys have got to go to 3. Everybody's pounding in on the Patriots. Come on. All my bookies at the stations. Artie and you've got to get to the 3. Chrissy and Vinny and all the guys at the South Point. And you guys double-crossed me. You stayed 2.5. I can't take my Rams plus 10. How come you did that to me, lad?
It's funny. It's funny, but that's one of the questions. I mean, I've heard probably more, questions about the props and when are the props coming out. But everybody is like, is it going to 3? Is it going to 3? Is it going to 3? So, I mean, we could have printed up T-shirts that said that. I think it would have been a great promo. But,
You're exactly right, Chuck. You're exactly right. Yep. Chrissy keeps hearing, you going back to 3? Oh, come on.
Yeah, he tried it for all of 15 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
I got no comment on that, boys.
They broke the vault over here.
Your boss, Art already chimed in. He gave us his opinion on that 3-point move the other day.
I'm sure he did.
Oh, it's going to be great. Hey, listen, let me ask you this, Chuck, because the first bit of action. So we're closing in on it here. If the kickoffs are right around 3:30, that means 3:25, I suppose. They'll flip that coin. Tell me about the action on heads or tails.
Brent, it's all the props now. I mean, that's the first thing that's going to be decided.
Right.
So there are. I mean, they play all the props. I mean, they have so much fun with them. And I've used that example that, again, it's the coin toss to how the game will end. I mean, you don't have to like either team, but there is something that every play and every occurrence you can have a ticket on. And I think that's what makes it so great. I had a guy here last night. He had 38 different prop tickets in his hand, and he said, I'm going to come back for more because I don't like either team, but I just want to have something going on almost on every play. And that's what makes it so cool.
That you're absolutely right. If you bet in on the props, so I have to occasionally. I'm going to full disclosure, okay? I will occasionally find some of my friends who live in precincts outside of the United States. Only occasionally. I want you to know this. So
I got no comment there either.
Okay, I understand.
Not while he's in Nevada, Chuck.
So I found this. I found this prop. Okay. It involves President Trump's favorability rating come tomorrow versus the longest field goal in the Super Bowl today. I said, I'm in on the field goal. Okay, we're going to be close. We're going to be close to 50 yards on a field goal. There's no chance that President Trump hits close to 50%, and it was a decent price, So I punched in, a very reasonable amount. You know what I'm saying? Just to have a little entertainment purposes only, okay? And bada bing, a little red box flashes up. This prop has changed. It is now minus 240 if you want the field goal. I said, so much for that and my chance. So I'm just going to sit back and enjoy. What I'll probably do, guys, tell me about the halftime line. Tell me, we've got this tight line. We've got 2.5. Tell me what that means to the bookies and how much the first half impacts us. You got to protect numbers all the time. Mm-hmm. Tell me, Chuck, about making the halftime line on the Super Bowl today.
Well, I think a lot depends on what your financial position is going into the game. what the score is at that particular point. And don't forget, guys, you know, the halftime line's important, and a lot of people look at that. But now with in play, I mean, you're wagering all the time throughout the game. So guests are able to kind of massage their position on the game based on what's going on within play. So you may see some variations for the second half, but a lot depends on, you know, what occurs in the first half. And, you know, I think right now with a fairly close line, and a lot of people who like the Rams are taking the money line. And, you know, I think they're evening it out a little bit based on what you saw early on when it was considerable Patriot action, probably over 70 to 75% over the first week or so was in favor of the Pats.
And Brent, you take Chuck's right on money. You take into consideration too what's actually happened in the first half. What's the score at halftime? Hopefully, no injuries to key players and things like that as well.
Yeah, tell Brendan Gaughan to save me a spot in that line. I'm going to need some action. Haven't shut out. Hey, Chuck, thanks for giving us some valuable time, my friend. I know how busy you are over at the Sunset, one of the many outstanding Stations casinos here in the Las Vegas area. So have a great day, Chuck, and we'll check with you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys, for having me on. Good luck today and enjoy the game.
Take care, Chuck.
We're going to go downtown. The mayor, Derek Stevens, standing by at the Long Bar with his buddy Mike Palm. They've always got a winner or two. Back live, VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at VSiN.com.
The best place to watch the Super Bowl will be at the downtown Las Vegas Event Center. 72-foot large screen, full sound. We're going to have about 6,000 people out here. We do have some cabanas still available for purchase, as well as tables. If you want to come down, go to downtownwatchzone.com.
By far, the best place to watch the Super Bowl in Las Vegas is right here at the Rampart Casino. Our fabulous new video wall and race and sportsbook is second to none in the Selmerland area. We were voted third best race and sportsbook in Las Vegas by the Review Journal. So definitely right here, come down and join us at the Rampart Casino.
The best place to watch a Super Bowl here in Las Vegas is right where we're standing. South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa, right here on Las Vegas Boulevard, home of the VSiN Studios.
When it comes to the best place to watch in the big game, it's right over here, right over my shoulder, or at any of the Station Casinos race and sports books. All the seats are free. They're all on the 50-yard line. Come on in early, have a great time, enjoy everything we have to offer. It should be a great day, and you might be lucky to be cashing one of those prop bet tickets during the game or cashing the side or total after the game. But again, come on in to Station Casinos. We love having you here. Camp out, get here early, have some fun.
Place to watch the game in Vegas is really any one of the Caesars properties. The book here at the Link is going to be one of the most popular bumping places around. You get to rent one of our amazing fan caves for you and up to 9 of your friends. You get to watch the game on a 98-inch TV. Get to control it, get to control the experience in the palm of your hands. It's really hard to picture a better experience than that.
The best place to watch the Super Bowl in Vegas is the Mirage. I mean, we've got this giant screen right here, plenty of seating. The atmosphere is unbelievable, and everybody has a great time, so I couldn't imagine going anywhere else.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204 and VSiN.com.
If you want to watch this game on a really big screen, you head to the Downtown Events Center, and there my guys from the D, Derek Stevens and Mike Palm, are hanging out with a huge crowd. Let's go live. Windy City Sam on the scene with it. Take it away, Sam.
Uncle Brent, 72-foot screen, 6,000 plus people. Derek Stevens, Mike Palm, our guys at the Long Bar. Is this what you envisioned when you thought about throwing this party here?
You know, we started this, I think, 4 years ago, and I think the first time we did it, we had 300 people show up. I think today we're going to have between 6,000 and 7,000 out here tonight, so it should be terrific.
Amal Shaw is not on the set, Mike. I'm going to hand you the microphone here, but I know that you're chomping at the bit. You've got your packet rolled up in your hand. Of all the bets you made, let's start with your favorite and maybe go down the line on the bets you made on the Super Bowl.
My favorite bet, and the bet I made the most on, was the second period under 17. I had to lay 125 on that. I could have bet it earlier in the week. I also took no score in the first 5.5 minutes. I bet that yesterday at $1.20. Right now at William Hill, it's at minus $1.55. So they've seen all the action on no score. Just think if the Rams get the ball first, that's unlikely they score. If the Patriots get it first, it'll take them more than 5.5 to score.
We've seen better X come around $3.8 million, but that really hasn't shifted, Derek. It hasn't really shifted the side or the total. We're looking in Vegas mostly 2.5, 56, 56.5. Are you surprised by the lack of a strong move?
I actually thought we would see a little bit more of a move. I mean, obviously we're seeing a little bit of a move on the under. Yeah, like Mike was saying earlier today, we were talking, and I thought Mike's play of no score in the first 5.5 minutes should have been much heavier favorite. I think you got great value on that play, and I love that play.
I was looking at Tom Brady, his longest rush. I've talked about this until I'm blue in the face. I bit the bullet, guys. I went over 2.5 yards at plus 150. I just need one. I need one rush. I need 3 yards. I need 4 yards. Last year he had a 6-yard run.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with him. He's so good at the sneak. Now, I know they haven't been using him that much this year, but when he sneaks, he doesn't just get the one. He gets 3, he gets 4, he just leans forward and looks like Cam Newton when he was at Auburn.
I don't think it looks like Cam Newton. What about the props? What did you fire on the props? Any favorite props here?
No, I really like when Mike had no score in the first 5.5 minutes. I also think there's a play that really stood out to me in a prop. Will there be a field goal in the second quarter? I know it's a heavy chalk, but I think the number should be much higher. I think I saw minus 280 earlier. It opened at minus 250. So I think will there be a field goal? I think that's pretty easy money.
So when John Murray came on the show, when I was in studio after the championship game Sunday, they talked about the Westgate opening props, and I bet this, and it's really moved. I had Zerline at 100-1 for MVP. Last I looked, it was 18-1. I mean, it's worth a shot. The guy kicks 3 or 4 field goals, couple over 50 in the game winner. I know it's predominant to quarterbacks, but at 100-1, it's a great value.
Now, you can't bet this in Vegas, but this is a very popular prop, the length of the national anthem. And everybody's got a guy on the crew, or they know a friend of a friend. There has been some serious movement on the national anthem. It went from 147 to 150. So there's been a 3-second hike up on the national anthem.
Hold on. That might be old news, Sam. I just saw 155. This Steve is coming in on the over like crazy. People are hanging around last night. It's going over.
At what point do we have to buy back and go under 155?
I don't know. This is a sharper move than Gurley under rushing. I tell you why I like the under in this game, Sammy. And I keep thinking about one guy. In the last 48 hours when I've been thinking about this Super Bowl, I go back to one guy, Henry Wilczek, friend of Brent Musburger, former colleague. You might know him as Hank Stram. And I think about Super Bowl IV, 39 years ago now, Derek, January 1970, Tulane Stadium. And they had him mic'd up, the Sables got him mic'd up. What a great clip, and that really started all the sideline micings. But, boys, we got to keep matriculating the ball down the field. I think that's what Bill Belichick wants to do. He wants to matriculate the ball down the field, control the clock like he did in Kansas City. Brady doesn't throw that pick in the end zone in Kansas City. That game's not close. They dominated 2-1 in every offensive statistical category. So I hope the Patriots take their time and march the ball, Pats and under.
My favorite story over the years at VSiN, listening to Jimmy Vaccaro, even back to the line maker days, was he told a story one year about how they were so lopsided one year on the heads on the coin toss. He said, we lost 30 grand before the game even kicked off on the coin flip. That's how lopsided we were. And John Murray said today, you brought up Todd Gurley, Mike, Todd Gurley's rushing prop opened at 69.5 yards, got as low as 60, and now it's 65.5. So they might get middled on the Gurley props.
Yeah, a lot of movement on that one. But obviously everyone was speculating, was Gurley healthy? Was he not healthy? Was McVay playing some psychological games here or what? But, yeah, now it's come back. So that element's going to be an interesting dynamic as well.
Anything you'd like to say? We're going to step away here in just a second, toss it back to the studio. Do you have a message for your best friend, Amal Shaw?
I actually do. I had several people come up to me in the last 2 days and say, can you get a Mulshaw to go on the record with a pick for this game? We haven't got a pick out of him. I said, well, that tells you something, but I'll ask as a favor, can a Mulshaw give us a pick for this game?
I'm sorry, but he's napping.
Brent said he's napping.
He said this is the toughest Super Bowl for him to handicap in years. So that says a lot. I think everything's tough.
All I know is this, Brent. It's going to be a party here. 6,000 people. We set a 72-foot screen. Look at Justin. We even got beer pong here. I'm minus 130 to make this. Oh, well, the wind took it. It's all right. I missed it. The beer pong, the girls, the guys, everybody's having fun. Derek and Mike will be here. And that's a wrap for now.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great time at the Event Center downtown. Vinny, it's always a great place to watch on those huge screens.
What a job those guys do down there, Brent. And we were there for the unveiling of Circa, the resort that Derek is going to build in the next couple of years downtown at the site of the old Vegas club. But I was curious to see a lot of energy. I'm glad the weather turned out to be good down there, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of action. By the way, I think Amal might be at the Longboard. How would that be? How ironic would that be? These guys are at the event center. Amal's at the bar.
Drinking water.
Well, water, yeah. I think Amal did say, seriously, I believe Amal said that he was going to get involved with this game in-game because he really did not have a conviction before the game started. But I could see where he, and a lot of folks, Brent, will get involved in-game. I think we'll set a really good number in terms of handle for in-game on this event today.
For those of you who are going to be with your buddies at a bar, you're driving and you're listening to us on Sirius XM radio, and you'd like to pick up a free drink from your buddies over there, here's your trivia question, okay? Now, the Georgia Bulldogs, okay, they have 4 players in the Super Bowl. That's high. However, there's one other school. I want you to ask your buddies, and you can even give them Georgia, okay? That's because no one's going to give you the second one. What's the other school that's tied with Georgia, having 4 players in the Super Bowl this year? I mean, if my man Amal was right here, we'd let him tee it up. Vinny, you're giving it serious thought, my friend. All right.
It's definitely not an SEC.
It's definitely not an SEC school. And in fact, I'll give you the school. It's a Big Ten school. Okay?
Oh, Big Ten. I was thinking.
It's a Big Ten school. All right. In fact, with betting legal, this should give it away. 3 State University of New Jersey products. Those of you who knew the State University of New Jersey is Rutgers, you've got it. The McCourty twins and Duran Harmon are the 3 Rutgers players on the Patriots, and the Rams have Sebastian Joseph Day, okay? Now, it's evenly split with the Dogs. Todd Gurley, of course, and Ramek Wilson for the Rams. Sony Michel, plus center David Andrews with New England. Andrews is a great story. A free agent signee, and he's been plugged in as Belichick's center, and he's done a terrific job. Now, the conference with the most players, Vinny, is, as you would expect, is the SEC. There are 21 players on these 2 rosters from the SEC, but there's 20 on the Big Ten, okay? So only a 1-player difference. Pac-12, 18. ACC, 11. Big 12, 7. There are 10 FCS players and 4 Division II players. So that's 14 fellas from the little schools, and that would put them right up there, number 4. So you never know.
Brent, excuse me for interrupting, just to give you an update. I don't know where this particular individual went to school, but somebody just stepped up to the counter. $330,000 on the Patriots here at the South Point, minus 2.5. 330 Patriots, minus 2.5.
What was it Michael Gahn said? We will know about what, 310? Who we need
336. We'll have the tally.
So the big buddy is showing up, and when we come back at the top of the hour, remember the big change with this Super Bowl is that you can wager in 7 other states: New Jersey, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Delaware, New Mexico, West Virginia. We will check in with Nikki Bogdanovich from William Hill because they have betting operations in 3 of them outside of Nevada, New Jersey, Mississippi, West Virginia. We will see which way the money is flowing. 2.5 pretty much around the country. Patriots favored by 2.5. Never went to my beloved 3. Over-under settling in at 56. We'll come back. We'll check in with Nick when we continue live. VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at VSiN.com.
It's the fastest growing action option for bettors, and VSiN has all the analysis you need to take action on the live action. Tune in February 3rd for VSiN's Big Game Betcast between the Patriots and Rams. We'll expose the constantly changing lines during the game from multiple sportsbooks as the game unfolds. We'll also follow all the actionable props as they cash during the game. Plus, we'll have live in-game updates throughout the game from odds makers setting the lines as the game unfolds. And you won't want to miss our special halftime show. I'll be the anchor, and I'll be joined by Gil Alexander, Mitch Moss, and Paulie Howard. We'll have opinions you can bet on. It's VSiN's Big Game Betcast, live on February 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Tune into VSiN during the big game to take sharp action on the live action.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
I'm glad we brought that up to Ed Graney, by the way, earlier. The sad state of affairs about trying to phase the little guy out in college basketball. I mean, it's
true, yeah.
It's what made the event.
It's deliberate, it's intentional, and they just do the same thing. Well, who'd you play? Because all they do is look at the top wins.
Right.
They look at strength of schedule and your top 50 wins. Well, it's like the Porter Mosier. He goes to the Final Four. He's on the phone calling 100 schools. Only Maryland says, yeah, we'll play you.
Right.
This isn't like Central Florida and Florida, where UCF says, we won't do the 2-for-1. No, they can't even get the games.
Right.
These guys refuse to play them. So how am I going to improve my schedule and my SOS if I can't get the games?
Sure.
What am I going to do? It's totally rigged.
I'm
100% rigged.
You have to be so precise anymore. I mean, a lot of these disclaimers that we put on, the prop is, I don't know, will the wind blow? But then you have to, will the wind blow between kickoff and blah, 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 blah,
right.
And it's like you have a disclaimer that's 3 sentences long versus the 5-word question that you're asking that the bet is.
Is that would you say that's one of your pet peeves here? Like just that kind of pushback after the fact is something you just want to entirely avoid, and it's been a thing that has annoyed you in the past.
I would say yes.
It sounds like they're not going to make steps to change replay on PI calls. Is that the way you see it?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we got to see when the competition committee gets together. I think it's all too fresh right now, but there's a lot of people. I don't know why. I don't know why they're so dug in on this. Again, Bill Belichick. Whatever we want to say about Bill Belichick, good or bad, let's just all admit he's pretty sharp when it comes to football. And he's been saying this again for 5 years, and his points are just logical. Like, yeah, why wouldn't you make everything reviewable, including pass interference? I think. And again, it's a judgment call. So if they go and they review, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to say there's definitive proof. But again, all I want is wrong calls to be right.
I'm Ron Flatter with your VSiN action update. Inactives is what I was thinking about, and they have indeed been posted for today's Super Bowl. No surprises. New England posted its list early. Tight end Steven Anderson, offensive lineman James Ferentz, defensive backs Obi Melifonwu and Duke Dawson, and defensive linemen Ufumba Kamalu, Keonta Davis, and Derek Rivers all out for New England. The Rams, who are not suiting up, well, same as the last 2 weeks. Defensive back Darius Williams, running back Justin Davis, linebacker Ogbo Okoronkwo and Trevon Young, offensive lineman Jamel Demby, and defensive tackles Sebastian Joseph Day and Tanzel Smart. Yes, Todd Gurley is playing. Even with an influx of LA money, including $3.8 million from one whale, most of the bets are on New England, which is still favored by 2.5. The total has ticked down to mostly 56. The Mirage and CG Technologies just knocked it down to 55.5. NBA matinees, one still going. Toronto favored by 9.5 and right now leading the Clippers. 9:47 to go. It's 105-82. Two other favorites covered in a game that went over. Boston beat Oklahoma City 134-129. In a game that fell under, Memphis won at New York 96-84. Final round of golf's Phoenix Open. They're playing through the rain in Phoenix at 16 under. Brandon Grace, the 80-1 shot, has the lead through 14 holes. At 15 under, it's Ricky Fowler, the 20-1 shot. He's through 13. Matt Kuchar, another shot back, the 25-1 shot, also playing the 14th. A reminder, while you're watching the game today, keep VSiN alongside. Use us as a second screen for our live betcast and monitor in-game wagering. And while Maroon 5 sings, Brent Musburger Speaks keeps the gambling talk going with our special halftime show. Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard are live right after the game with Follow the Money. It's all coming up as Brent Musburger continues to try to cash tickets. That's what it's all about. Live here on VSiN.
You know him, you love him, and now we have him at VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. It helps to be connected, and nobody knows more of the bookies in Las Vegas than Brent Musburger. It's My Guys in the Desert with the legend of the guys behind the counter, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network at vsin.com and SiriusXM Channel 204. Live from the VSiN studios, it's the one and only Brent Musburger.
Yeah, I'm glad that Ron mentioned the fact that we've got the betcast coming up with Matt Humans here in a short time, because we certainly would like to thank Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria. They are feeding our entire studio staff. We got 17 hours of live programming. 17 hours of live programming here on Super Bowl Sunday on VSiN. And just like last year, Dom DeMarco is taking care of our guys. So I'll see them myself a little bit later this evening after the game itself, but we want to thank Dom DeMarcos as we bring in one of the best bookmakers around the city of Las Vegas, Nick Bogdanovich over at William Hill. And the big story with Nicky, of course, is not only are they betting this game in Las Vegas, but William Hill's doing business in New Jersey, Mississippi, and West Virginia as we welcome in Nick. And Nick, tell us, how's the wagering across the country here for Super Bowl 53, my friend?
Well, the big story is the one you left out, Rhode Island. It is nonstop Patriot money in the state of Rhode Island. Just a ratio that's mind-boggling. It's just incredible the amount of Patriot money in that state.
Did you move the line? Did you have to adjust it, or have you left it right where it is?
We left it 3 the whole week. It's just been 3. I think it's the only 3 in the free world, but it's been there all week. We haven't touched it. It's just been -3, minus a dime, and away they go. In fact, someone just bet $300,000 on the Rams there. So just incredible action out of the state.
How about that? And by the way, do you have the 7-point teaser at William Hill? Can I get the? I
knew that was coming.
I'm looking for 3 around here, Nicky, and they've shut me out. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that is great to hear, because for those of you, most of you you're well aware of how easy it is to drive from Massachusetts to Rhode Island to get that bet in. So that's what's going on there, Vinny.
And hey, Nick, thanks for taking the time. I know how busy it is, buddy. It's the same. I'm sure the scene behind me is the same at your place. 2 things, Nick. You've got multiple jurisdictions, and you've got to manage those independently. Talk a little bit about how that works from a logistics standpoint for you and your staff. And you also have the largest network here in the state of Nevada, over 130 properties. Give the listeners and viewers at VSiN a taste of what that's like.
Well, in a Super Bowl, it's not really a big deal because, it is the number, the handle's so big. You just open up the number and you just write as many bets as humanly possible. But on a day-to-day basis, it gets a little tricky. I got a Rhode Island team, I got a Mississippi team, I got a Delaware team. So we got all sorts of these little mini teams, and they handle the state. And as you can see, there is some regional bias. In Mississippi, we were buried on every Saint game. In Delaware, we're buried on the Eagles and the Ravens. Rhode Island is buried on the Celtics and the Pats. And I don't know if you noticed, but the Celtics covered this morning. The Bruins won this morning. And the Patriots got center stage now. So it could get a little ugly in the Northeast if the Patriots roll home.
Hey, Nick, in terms of the prop wagers, are you seeing what percentage? Here it's about 50-50 at South Point. What do you is that shifted differently from jurisdiction to jurisdiction in terms of wagers on the props compared to wagers on the side in total?
You know what? I don't know that. I'll know when we get some accounting on either Monday or Tuesday.
Got it. Okay.
I know the guy. I just walked by the crew in Rhode Island. They said they wrote just an incredible amount in props. So I don't think it'll be 50-50. In fact, I'd be shocked if it wasn't 3 or 4 to 1. But out here, it's it's a different animal. I haven't looked up. I'm trying to sweat this golf tournament. And I had a string of prop bets like 60 in a row. I had to prove and move. So it just every good prop player in America comes to Vegas for the Super Bowl. I mean, there literally is lots of opportunity for everyone.
Nick, what happened to Fowler in that tournament?
Man, it was unbelievable. I don't know if you saw it, but
I did not.
He had a 5-shot lead standing on the tee. It looked like he was going to cruise home, and he was like 10 yards in front of a green, and he chipped it over the green. And it went into the water behind the green. So he takes a drop. He goes up to the green to survey the thing, and while he's up on the green, the ball just rolls back into the water, and they gave him a penalty shot for that. And so all hell's broke loose. The weather's been terrible. It's been rainy, and now Brandon Grace is one up with about 3 or 4 to go. So it's anyone's game. Grace is 16 under, Fowler 15, and Kuchar 14. But Ricky's had a hard time closing golf tournaments, and I think he's feeling it.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. He's one of the better golfers who never won a major, and we always keep talking about it. And I saw he had, I think when the day started, he had about a 3-stroke lead, I think, something like that. So when you said there was a lot of movement, I was surprised because I thought that Ricky might be able to show up. But I think you're absolutely right, especially for a golfer coming down the stretch. When you've got that history, very, very hard for them to overcome something
it is,
like that.
And he had a 4-shot lead to start the day, but we're booking it. We booked the 4th round live. Right now, Grace is $1.50 favorite, and you can take $1.70 with Ricky if you think he can come back.
Okay, and then, of course, you'll be booking the Super Bowl live, correct, at William Hill?
For sure. Thank goodness I won't be. I'll be sweating it and watching it. I'm grading the props and seeing where things close, so we have a leg up on next year. But yeah, we have a separate in-play department. They handle all the in-play, every single sport you can imagine. So I'll hand the baton to them. But I'll take the baton back for halftime wagering. Don't worry, we write massive 6 figures on the second half. It's a short halftime. It's only like an hour and 30 minutes long. I mean, it drives me crazy.
I know. But listen, the whole game. In fact, Bill Belichick said that, Coach Belichick said when asked about the actual timing on the game, he said, well, you really can't get any rhythm because the breaks are much longer than normal, okay? They have more commercials in there. So he said it is very difficult. We know it is what it is, and it doesn't change. And then he said you've got this interminable halftime where you get done talking to the fellas, and you're just sitting there looking at each other because the show is still going on.
And Mickey could speak to this, too. I'd love to hear his cut because, Brent, the length of that, and because it's the Super Bowl, it'll outhandle some regular season games, like on a Sunday, right, Nick? Let's talk a little bit about what
sure. The second half wagering. Well, the second half wagering has taken a little bit of a hit since the advent of in-play.
Yeah.
Because it sucks. One, that sucks their money up, and two, they know that they can get down anytime they want. Before before second chance was their only last chance. Now they can do it any time. So, yes, second half wagering, the handle's gone way down because of in-play. But it's still one of my favorites. I love second half wagering.
Yeah, I agree, Nick. And then some of the fellows who have traveled to New Jersey, who reside here in Nevada, have told me that they really like the kiosk betting back east, which you walk up to and you're able to bet right away. Do you think, and I'm going to put this to both you and Vin, do you think we'll have kiosk betting in the state of Nevada anytime soon, Nick?
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, we already do. There's kiosks aplenty. A lot of people like it because they just let their fingers do the walking. There's no miscommunication with the clerk. There's no miswritten tickets. You're just punching buttons. So, yeah, kiosk is a huge part of the technological boom, and for sure. And the hotels love them because they don't have to pay a kiosk $14 an hour or worry about the kiosk running out with the drawer.
And or the kiosk calling in sick. There's
exactly.
No insurance. But to Nicky's point, Brett, I think you'll see a lot more of them because then they'll be spread out too, not just in the race and sportsbook area, but other areas of the property as well. And hopefully at some point they'll include horse racing as well. So kind of make them more versatile, if you will.
Yeah, horse racing, that would be that would be big, wouldn't it, to make that more versatile. So listen, Nick, thank you for the time. I know how busy you are over there, and you want to get back to that golf tournament, my friend. So we will check with you, I'm sure, either later tonight or next week with some of the fellows. But we always appreciate your time. From William Hill, U.S., Nicky Bogdanovich. Thanks, Nick.
All right, guys. Good luck today.
See you tonight, Nick.
So there we are, my friend.
Yep. You know, Brent, this is a day. I think you'll relate to this, and I heard you tell a terrific story when we had our seminar on Friday night about how when you were a journalist, how you would congregate in the afternoon to compare notes with your colleagues at the proper hydration stations in the neighborhood. Well, tonight the bookmakers will all be doing the same. It'll be a little bit later. It won't be for the afternoon newspaper. Yeah, we talked to a lot of folks, so I've been looking forward to seeing the guys tonight at the Tap House.
Well, let me tell the story.
Because it's a great story. I wish you would share that one.
It involves Super Bowl I, and there were a lot of newspapers, especially in New York City. We had 7 dailies that I'm aware of in New York City. There were 4 dailies in Chicago, and I was working for the old Herald America, which became Chicago's America when the Chicago Tribune Company bought it. It was their afternoon newspaper. So afternoon newspapers, they go down to the locker rooms back in the day, and they get quotes, and then they go back to the press room, and that's when we would put our stories together, and we would give them to the telegraph operator, and they would type them back to the offices, where it was New York, Los Angeles. Well, they were right in Los Angeles. But still in all, some of the L.A. guys were with us. But anyway, the morning guys had already filed. So we were all kind of drinking together. And there was a legendary writer, Joe King, from the old New York Herald. I don't know if it was a Herald Tribune, whichever one of the afternoon newspapers. At any rate, he's passed out. He's passed out next to his notes, okay? So the legendary Milton Gross of the New York Post said, guys, we've got to help Joe King out. We'll each write a paragraph. We can each do that. And so Milton volunteered to write the lead, okay? And then we would go from there. All of the great Barney Kremenko was there, and all the legendary writers around the country were there. Everybody wrote a paragraph. So the next morning, we go down to breakfast in the press room. We didn't make much money then, so we were always freeloading in the press room. And Joe was back among the living, and he said, hey, guys, my editor called this morning, and he said, that was a hell of a story I wrote yesterday. One of the better stories I've written this year. I'll never forget that. Those were the old days, and many of us had tickets that we couldn't give away. Michael Gahn, who was in here, mentioned that he was over there at the Coliseum, and it was only about 60% full.
And you still have those tickets,
I've still got them. I couldn't give them away. And the other thing, they had I can't remember if it was pregame or halftime, but they turned pigeons loose, probably in the pregame. And they were homing pigeons, and they homed right in on the press box. I mean, they came right in. It was unbelievable scene over there.
How much was the face value of the
25? These were 50-yard line seats, $25 pop. And the other thing that happened in Super Bowl I was there were 2 networks televised the game, NBC and CBS, okay? Because NBC had the contract with the old American Football League, i.e. Kansas City, and, of course, Green Bay, who was over on CBS, who had the NFC back in the time. And when it came out of the halftime commercial, NBC was about 15, 16 seconds behind. They weren't out. And the game kicked off, okay? And the guy in the NBC production truck is screaming, okay? We're not back. We got to do something. CBS had control with the officials. So they alerted the Red Hat, stop the game, bring the referee over, and tell him we've got a problem. The referee handled it beautifully. He said, we'll just kick it off again. Okay, through we a redo. I've always thought, they've never found the film of the entire game. I don't know if you know that.
No, I did not know.
There's a guy who's always trying. He claims that he taped it off a TV set. He's got every play and everything. I've always thought that the NFL did away with it because they didn't want to see anybody see it. There were two. I mean, you talk about pass interference not called. Okay, now we got two kickoffs because we've got. Yep, that's how the Super Bowl began, and Vince Lombardi and the Green Bay Packers pulled away. Max McGee was not expecting to play in the game, and he later became a great friend of mine. Wonderful guy, character, really a big time character. And he and Paul Hornung went out and drank the night away. And the next day, they had a receiver who couldn't make it, couldn't answer the bell. So Max he became the hero. And even now, if you look at what they will show you from Super Bowl I, you'll see Max McGee reaching behind himself to grab a pass and pull it into his body and score a touchdown for the Green Bay. I'm telling you, those were the days, Mike.
Characters, right, Brent?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's take a break. Gil Alexander is going to check in with us by the numbers, I would assume. Analytics. Can you win a Super Bowl studying analytics? I'm going to ask Gil. VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at VSiN.com.
Professional bettors look for where there's value. They'll break down the game and then they'll bet their propositions accordingly, particularly those that involve statistics. The general public, on the other hand, will bet on props where they can bet a little, $10, $20, $50 to win a lot. Will the game go into overtime or will there be a safety? Both of those at around 6-1. Who will score the game's first touchdown? Look for the long odds there. They will look at the player to win the most valuable award for the game. All those, but when you put them all together, the proposition bets have become more and more popular, and they'll account for anywhere from 40 to 50% or more of the betting handle on the Super Bowl.
Well, some of the popular prop bets that we've been taking wagers on right now is the rushing yards for Gurley. We opened that up at 80.5. We're all the way down to 62.5 right now. And whether or not he will score a touchdown, and also Sony Michel will score a touchdown. The yes has moved dramatically on those. We opened Gurley at -210. He's down to $1.35. Michel, we opened him up at $2.20, and he's down to $1.45 right now. But the most popular prop every year and the funnest one is who's going to score the first touchdown, and we'll take more action on that than any other prop on the board.
There's actually a lot of popular prop bets we have. Will the first score of the game be a touchdown, field goal, or safety? Will a team convert a fourth down attempt? Will the game go into overtime? But by far and away, the most popular prop bet we have is player to score the first touchdown.
So far, I've taken two props, one for entertainment and one more to try to make money. I like the bet on Greg Zuerlein as Super Bowl MVP at 100-1. Just something to sweat. This kid's got a great leg. That last field goal to win the NFC Championship game would have been good for 70. If he kicks 4 or 5 field goals and a couple around 60 or more, and the Rams pull the upset, there might rate a shot. And certainly at 100-1 is a good price. And then I really do believe that New England is about 10 points better than Los Angeles in this game. So I took a point spread prop. The Patriots -7.5 plus 245.
Now back to Sin City and my guys in the desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204 and vsin.com.
Well, here it is on Super Sunday, and Vinny, it's always a pleasure when Gil Alexander drops by because I'm always curious who you got.
I got the Patriots. And let me just say this. It's the third straight year now that I have the Patriots, so we've split the first two.
All right.
Never in doubt on that first one against the Falcons. Never in doubt.
Especially at halftime.
I understand why the line came out at Rams -1 based on power ratings. I was shocked that there wasn't an anticipation of Patriots money. That was surprising to me. But if you've talked to Michael Lombardi, and I know you probably have and will again, there is just a lot of smart football people that are typically not super confident, that are very confident in the Patriots being able to overcome the Rams in this game. And that's pretty telling to me. Sort of, I like that corroboration of my instinct.
One of them happens to be Coach Belichick, not having a formal walkthrough yesterday. 800 people, friends, relatives, girlfriends, all invited to come in. Had pictures taken. I saw them all around the universe because people sent them out on Instagram. And remember a year ago, Malcolm Butler, none of us knew what was about to happen.
That's right.
Not only did he not start, he didn't play. Okay? So there was an underlying bit of turmoil there with the...
So no one knows better than you. I'm sorry, but no one knows better than you, Brent, as someone who's seen this for so many years. And Belichick specifically, that's a real outlier. The fact that no walkthrough, just very nonchalant.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
You know, the hay's in the barn. He wants relaxed players. And, they're playing their best football down the stretch. I mean, you can go back to the struggles that they had earlier in the year. But this is a typical Belichick performance in which he picks up a key guy in midseason. Now, in this case, he's not with him. And it may come to pass that they'll miss Josh Gordon. I don't know. He would have been their most dangerous wideout. But he always reaches out, grabs somebody. Okay, something. He's amazing to me. He picks very low every year because they win so many games in the draft.
Right.
But you get a linebacker like Van Noy, who's a performer for him. And Van Noy's been quoted as saying, because everybody interviews all the players this week, he said, "What did Belichick say to you?" And they picked him up a couple of years ago. He walked up to him and he said, "I always get my man." And he walked away.
You know, Brent,
wow.
I love the point because it's not only who they pick up and who contributes, but sometimes who they say, you know what, we're moving on. And
that's exactly right.
Right? Some players that are not there anymore, wearing a Patriots uniform. And I think that says a lot about what how that organization operates too. Very efficient, I guess, would be.
Yeah, I agree.
A word.
Gil, the props. Did you take a crack at any props?
Why, I thought you'd never ask. Many of them. From the football to the non-football. So football, no touchback was offered somewhere here in town at plus 190. No touchback on the opening kick, I should say. And my numbers had it at about plus 140, which is about where it has landed here today. The thinking being that if the Patriots kick off, they, by design, try not to kick a touchback. The mortar kick, Stephen Gostkowski's touchback rate is 49.56%.
Very low.
The fifth lowest, I believe, in the NFL. And even if Greg Zuerlein ends up kicking off for the Rams, the thinking is that Cordarrelle Patterson is a guy who, even if 4 or 5 yards deep in the end zone, especially on the opening kickoff of a Super Bowl, might be real pumped to take it out. So plus 190, no touchback. That was the first one. And then I took a needle in a haystack over, here they are, what do you know? Needle in a haystack at the Westgate. Obviously a long shot, but at 60-1, I took a flyer on Tom Brady to score the first touchdown. Everything else listed, props-wise, is of a non-game nature, if you will. And then the big stuff that I'm taking, Patriots on the money line, and I'm taking an alternative point spread, alternate line, Patriots minus 7.5 at plus 237.
That's a gift. Well, the announcers mentioned that Sony Michel and Todd Gurley were teammates at Georgia. That's a gift.
Jim Nance is gonna do it for me.
Oh, that's That's stealing on that one.
I think so. At least the number looks like it is. Yeah.
He's already mentioned it last week.
Oh well, I hope he mentions it.
He
during
won't
the
forget.
broadcast. He won't.
Now, the one that really intrigues me, because I know nothing about the group.
Yeah.
And I love having odd props. The Maroon 5 first song. You got to walk me through this one.
Okay. So with some embarrassment, but not that much embarrassment, Vinny, I did some research into Maroon 5's set lists of all the concerts that they've done over the last calendar year. Now, since late May, Brent, you may find it interesting to know that in 100% of their concerts, 37 out of 37 times, they opened with the song What Lovers Do.
Okay.
Now, where I was betting this, that was not available, but the field was at plus 342. It has since went into minus money and been taken off the board. But at plus 342, it's sort of a catch-all. I think we're good to go. Now, they could change it up to the Super Bowl, for sure. But I'm going to go with that intel.
I like that intel on that one. I mean, that's... I think you're locked and loaded on a couple of those props, my friend. Vin, what do you make of this, my friend?
I think, well, first of all, as usual, Gil is very thorough in his thinking. But I'm going to throw another one out there because there's been talk today. All right, here's a wild card. What happens? Is it 60 years ago today that the tragedy at Clear Lake occurred, the plane crash, the Big Bopper, Buddy Holly, and Richie Valens, I believe, right? Okay, so it's all over Twitter today. Is there any reference to any of those three gentlemen in Maroon 5's performance?
Wow.
Just throwing it out there.
Don't know.
Okay.
So, there's still time to make a prop.
But there's still time.
Yeah.
By the way, American Pie. There's got to be a Don McLean. I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe a Don McLean.
I am wrong, in fairness, on the national anthem. I went low on the national anthem. I went under. And all the...
What did they peg finally? She's usually under 2 minutes, I know.
Yeah,
Gladys Knight.
Apparently Gladys Knight had a rehearsal. The track, she's singing the track, and it goes past that mark. So
Really?
It looks like it's an over.
So we're looking at an over on that.
Yeah.
And obviously they had to put heavy limits on that because
the
day after rehearsal, the shows, I know. I used to have inside intel on that. I don't have my man. Al Michaels not doing this one, so I don't have my stats man call me up, give me the idea of what rehearsal is on that. You know what I'm saying?
That was the greatest 2 years ago. So this is our third Super Bowl here in the studio, VSiN studio, and I came in and we were getting ready to do the show. And Brent comes bursting in. He goes, "I got the best bet. I got my lock of the year." He goes, "This national anthem," and he was all excited. He goes, "I was like, what? I thought he was kidding." He goes, "No, I'm all over the national. It's going over." And then I'm thinking, how did I take? And he kept talking about it. So afterward, he told me, "Yeah, my buddy." He was there clocking the.
That might be why they'll never. That might be why they'll never book that.
Well, I can tell you that. That's just exactly why we don't book it.
Yes.
That I can assure you.
What do you make of all these other states? Did you hear Nikki Bogdanovich's report just a little while ago?
I did not. I was right outside the studio.
Unbelievable amount of money in Rhode Island.
Wow.
At William Hill. Incredible amount of money on the Patriots. Yep.
I think that's the most fascinating thing about. Oh, on the Patriots, you're saying?
It's on the Patriots.
They're three.
Yeah.
In Rhode Island.
They've been three all week.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay. And I should have known I had to go to Rhode Island to bet my 10-point teaser.
I was going to say that.
I never got.
That makes sense. That
part
of the country.
I think I listened to your show. You told me it was going to go to. You had some guest on, so I was going to go to 3 this week. Never did. My man.
Never did.
By the way, station casinos 2, gone to 2 from 2.5.
So they've made the move, huh?
Mm-hmm.
If when it comes to handle, you think, Vinny, you're saying we break the record here in Nevada?
I believe so. Here's what leads me to believe that the increased trend will continue, Gil. You know, last year we were obviously up from the year before $20 million, 158. I don't know. I don't think it'll be quite $20 million, but I think that we could exceed last year's number. And what I base that on is. And again, this is certainly in conjunction with the fact that there are 7 other jurisdictions now. But I know what the numbers for January here, for instance, at the South Point, the sports handle was 11% above last January. So the fact that it is the Super Bowl, you look at the crowds around, and you've walked the property as well. So what we're seeing behind us right now, in standing room only. Again, Michael Gaughan was on with us at the top of the show. He pointed out 6,000 seats. There's not a chair to be found.
It's amazing out there.
Vacant in the South Point Hotel and Casino. So think about that. 6,000 additional chairs to accommodate the guests to view and bet on the game throughout the property. So,
amazing.
I mean, but now, Gil, let me. Did you do anything with the total?
First half under. First half under 27.5 is where I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you like to do some. You pay attention to. You think you'll get involved in game?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you never know with that, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But there's certainly some possibilities, and I'm constantly monitoring that. But it all depends how it goes, and where that value might be. So I'll monitor that. Could be something, might not be. The real question, and I think is an interesting one, Brent, is we had James Salinas on earlier, and I asked him, Super Contest champion that he is, if this were a game that were ensconced in the middle of a full Sunday slate of games, would he have gravitated towards it, as one of his 5 Super Contest picks? And surprisingly, he said yes, which I thought was I did not expect that answer.
Which side is he on?
He's on the Patriots.
Is he? Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. Now I got stuck on one. Okay.
Okay.
You went to maroon. So.
Thank you for not dismissing these, by the way, Brent.
No,
I really appreciate
this all because you got to listen to mine. Okay? Donald Trump's approval rating, according to Rasmussen reports on February 4th, 2019. Or the yardage of the longest field goal made. Okay? For me, it was easy. I was going for the long field goal. Okay?
Yeah.
So it was sitting there at 140. And I pop it up, and bada bing. This has changed. It's gone to minus 240, and now I'm seeing it's minus 260.
Got to be quick, Brent.
I know.
Got to be quick.
You got to be quick when you hit those.
Yeah.
Okay, Gil. We'll see you at halftime,
awesome.
my
Yes, sir.
friend.
Thank you.
Roxy Roxborough is coming up for the next half hour as we close it up. We're moving. We are now within 1 hour, and who better than Roxy to bring us right up to the kickoff. Back live, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Look, it's great to hear Romo analyze the play, but what would you rather do, make money or analyze the play?
Why wouldn't you have a Matt Humans in the booth and you go to him? I'm not saying, for the network to turn the whole thing over, but it's absurd not to have a voice on the Super Bowl when everybody is betting it. My grandmother's betting it.
People want to hear betting analysis, and that's, obviously the void at VSiN that we fill. So, I've gotten a lot of feedback from people coast to coast who like listening to these shows. I think a lot more people are really embracing sports betting, and it's funny how the leagues have embraced it too. And live betting is something that not everybody understands, but I'm glad we can kind of educate some bettors on that stuff, and hopefully give out some winning plays during that game on Super Bowl Sunday.
It's the fastest growing action option for bettors, and VSiN has all the analysis you need to take action on the live action. Tune in next Sunday, February 3rd, for VSiN's Big Game Betcast. Matt Humans and Matthew Holt will be joined by former NFL executive and current VSiN host Michael Lombardi to follow all the in-play betting action, providing sharp betting analysis throughout the big game between the Patriots and Rams. We'll expose the constantly changing lines during the game from multiple sportsbooks as the game unfolds. We'll also follow all the actionable props as they cash during the game. Plus, we'll have live in-game numbers from the South Point's brain trust of odds makers setting the lines as the game unfolds. Ron Flatter will provide betting updates from the book. Windy City Sam will have updates from the party at the Downtown Event Center. And you won't want to miss our special halftime show. I'll be the anchor, and I'll be joined by Gil Alexander, Mitch Moss, and Paulie Howard. They'll give their expert opinions on the first half action and what to look for in the second half. We'll have opinions you can bet on. It's VSiN's Big Game Betcast, live on February 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific on SiriusXM 204, vsin.com, the VSiN app, and Fubo TV. Tune in to VSiN during the big game to take sharp action on the live action.
I'm Ron Flatter with your VSiN action update. Greg Zuerlein kicked a 60-yard field goal in warm-ups. Still waiting to find some clues about Todd Gurley's knee. They, of course, are the two Rams who are getting an eyeful before the Super Bowl in an hour. The Patriots are still 2.5-point favorites here in Las Vegas to beat L.A. The total continues to inch downward, though. It's mostly 56, but Station Casinos, the Mirage, and CG properties have dropped it to 55.5. The biggest bets here in Las Vegas came in on the Rams. One bettor putting up a total of $3.8 million at three different places to win $4.5 million if LA wins straight up. The money line now ranges from minus 135 to 140 for New England, plus 110 to 120 for Los Angeles. Three matinees in the NBA. They are all final now. Toronto just got done. They covered in a 121-103 victory over the Clippers. Two other favorites also won and covered. Memphis beat New York on the road 96-84, and Boston at home over Oklahoma City 134-129. Everything is final in the NHL. Two favorites won. Calgary over Carolina 4-3. Montreal needed overtime to beat Edmonton 4-3. One upset, Boston, a 1-0 winner at Washington. A rainy final round of the Phoenix Open, a tie for first right now with hard-charging Brandon Grace, the 80-1 shot through 15, as is Ricky Fowler, the 20-1 shot. They are at 16 under par, two better than Matt Kuchar, the 25-1 shot at through 14 holes. Today is the final day you can use VSiN to help gridiron greats. Order your VSiN All-Access package to take you through next year's Super Bowl. It's $240. Now, that's less than $5 a week. $25 of that goes to the Gridiron Greats Assistance Fund, which helps former pro football players who are in need. More with Brent Musburger as we count down to the Super Bowl here on VSiN.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
Well, the crowd's gathering all around Las Vegas. We're within an hour of the kickoff and action on just about every play. And look who we've got, Mr. Vaiulo, Roxy Roxborough, one of the one of the legendary odds makers here in the city of Las Vegas. Roxy, I've been asked this all week. Did you ever think that a Super Bowl would become this big like it has when they started up 50-some years ago?
No, I never did, but I think the big difference is that once the casinos embraced sports betting, you knew they were going to make big parties out of it. And if you look at the future of sports betting as expanding throughout the U.S., casinos are still going to probably have the most significant input. And so they like to build big events. And I think that it just gets bigger from here on out, and so does the Final Four. And casinos are the impetus to drive the marketing.
Hey, Rox, again, great for being here. This is your third year in a row here in the VSiN studio.
It would be a Super Bowl without Roxy.
We can't have the Super Bowl. So, and personally, I want to thank you, too, because, Brent, and for those that have listened, I want to give Roxy the proper credit from me personally, because my background originally was in the pit, even though I grew up around certainly the racetrack and sports betting. But when it came time when the explosion occurred back in the 80s, because the federal tax was the last one. And when the federal tax went from 2% down to 1%, then the books started to explode, and we met. And you were very supportive of me making that transition from the pit to the book. And then I was fortunate enough to succeed you in teaching the class that you started. A lot of folks may not realize that there's an accredited class in the University of Nevada system, race and sportsbook management. So I got to teach it, and appreciate that. Talk a little bit about how that. So we talk about the growth now, but how about the growth, Roxy, really from, let's say, 80, 86, 85 to where we are here?
Yeah, I think the golden era, or I shouldn't say the golden era of sports betting is right now. But the game changer was the Las Vegas Hilton building the Superbook. They just put so much money into it. Other casino management said, well, they can't get their money back. They got it back in under 2 years. Caesars had to raise the bar, as you know. They were using a gazebo book to a monster book. Steve Wynn looked at it, and when they built the Mirage, they had to do better. So that the growth was really rapid in the late 80s, but it wasn't a given that every casino was going to have a sports book, because some just didn't. The one thing I called wrong was I just thought that there'd be some casinos that wouldn't have sports books. So at that time, from that perspective, it wasn't a given that there'd be a sports book everywhere.
And now, of course, and we talked about this a little bit about this with Nick Bogdanovich in the previous segment. The fact of the matter is now some places may not have to have a quote-unquote sports book area allocated to it the way we have here at the South Point, but you'll see kiosks and things like that throughout properties as well. So just for self-service.
Well, and kiosks are, Nick pointed out the benefits. Also, a lot of benefits are that they can go into locations that maybe can't afford full-time staffs, too. So they can be in small rural casinos.
Right.
And, maybe in bars in other states. So the kiosk, my ex-partner and still my lifelong friend, Vic Salerno, spent 6 to 8 years trying to get those kiosks approved from the Nevada Gaming Control Board.
Right.
That's how slow that moved for a lot of years.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that Nevada will move quickly on other things, given the fact Nevada prides itself on being the gold standard, as former Governor Brian Sandoval used to say, and I certainly agree with. But also the fact that there's going to be some things offered in other jurisdictions that we're going to have to take a serious look at. The Academy Awards coming up, for instance, in New Jersey. I think that's something we're going to have to take a look at.
Probably, but I'm not. I don't think the Academy Awards are more a publicity thing. First of all, somebody knows who won.
Absolutely.
Right. By Wednesday. By midweek.
So if there's big money on it, instead of betting 50 or 100 or 200 offshore, it turns out you can bet thousands. And it's a natural corruption for me.
And we are so close to Southern California.
Yeah.
Somebody can easily get in here who just happens to have a little inside information.
Right.
They're pretty good at developing the odds now, because the voters in the Academy also were voters earlier for some of the awards, so they have a pretty good idea. But it's not as good as actually knowing who.
Well, you stop it on Tuesday or Wednesday, but the problem with that is you're not going to do any handle, because everybody wants to be here for the weekend and things like that. But the other part, I think, one wallet, if you will. Here we've still got two wallets. And I say two wallets: one for race wagering and one for sports wagering. Other places have the one. So I think, but I think the good part is that we'll work with the regulators to move forward.
Changes are coming.
Yeah.
I would, if Warren Beatty called me with who won, I have to step back. But I think the one thing is, when you had a monopoly here, which we had for some 50 years in sports betting, things didn't move so fast for good reason. When you have a monopoly, you're making money and you do what you have to do to make money. Now that there's much more competition, you've seen it. The other states are probably moving ahead of Nevada on the technology side, and also making ease of deposits.
Yeah.
So this competition is going to push everybody forward.
That's absolutely the way it's going to be. And within, Nevada will still be far and away number one this year. When it comes to Super Bowl wagering. Yeah. However, it won't be long before a state like New Jersey will have the big time parties in the hotels, and things will happen, and then you wonder because of the population. But right now, and if California ever legalizes sports betting,
yeah. So right now, California doesn't look like they're doing too much to have it legalized. That's another political issue we need to talk about. But there's no reason that the hub of sports betting in America doesn't move to New York.
Absolutely, because of the population.
It's just, what year is it?
Yeah, that's numbers.
A good point.
It's like TV ratings.
Yeah.
Numbers are numbers, and you can't. Speaking of that, okay, as we approach, I went back and I was curious, because 3 they say. So I wanted to see how all 52 Super Bowls had settled. Okay. And no Super Bowl has ever settled on a 2-point difference, on a final score, talking final score. By far the most, north of 10 points. 28 Super Bowls have ended north of 10 points, okay, by more than 10 points. Now, let's get down to 2 key numbers that you, Roxy, know very well. 6 of them have wound up on the 3. 6 of them have wound up on the 4. Those were the 2 predominant numbers. Okay, there have been 2 6s, 3 7s, 3 10s, 1 8, 1 9, 1 5, 1 1, and 28. So it speaks a little bit to pick a winner. You know, that's the first thing you got to settle on.
Yes, I mean, I think that those stats that you just gave out over the 52 Super Bowls are more in line with exactly the stats if you looked over the same 52 seasons for the scores. 3-4, the first cluster, 6-7, and then 10. What's interesting about 1 and 2 is the games change more with these people missing and making these 2-point conversions and missing the single-point conversions. So I think we're seeing drifting over time. 1 and 2 are going to fall a little bit more often. You're going to see a little stranger numbers, too.
Interesting.
In fact, my data shows that if somebody wants to buy on or off 3, it's about break even for the house. So they're not at a deficit to let somebody go on or off 3 for minus 120. And 7, they can do it with impunity, the bookmakers, because things are changing in the makeups of the scores.
Because of changing of the rules and moving the extra point back.
Yeah, yes. It's the biggest significance I've seen in the score since I've been in the business.
Interesting. Now, when the week started, as you were paying close attention to it, and you saw it 2.5, and guys like Chris and even the stations dabbled in 3, but they ducked back in. Are you surprised it did not wind up settling at 3?
Well, every year we see where the opening line starts to run. And then if you wanted to bet the Patriots, you were afraid of missing out. So you saw Patriots 1, and then it went to 1.5, and you said, gee, I got to get 1.5 because now it's 2. And eventually went to 2.5, and everybody kept waiting for 3, and that's probably the reason maybe you didn't go to 3. But, and this happens almost all Super Bowls, if you want to bet the Rams, why would you be betting it the first 10 days that the odds were up? You just see your price getting better every day. And then we always reach that zenith where things have to come back down. And probably it was like Thursday or Friday, right?
Yep.
And I think that follows the pattern of a lot of betting. It happens in stock prices. It happens in a lot of things. You don't want to miss the price, and you just keep going, and then finally it has to stop, and it has to come back. So I don't think it's unusual. What Nick had to say was really interesting about Rhode Island. They've been at 3 all week, and it's been 3, 3, 3, 3. There's a lot of street bookmakers in the East Coast that have always been 3, 2. The offshore lines have now been more like 2.
Right.
But I think it fits in with the flow of most of the betting on the Super Bowls before. Yeah.
How about the over-under number that you?
Well, the over and under number, I think they did a really good job with it. The thing about the over and under number is they're willing to let people bet under because they know that the parlays with the over are going to cost them so much money. So maybe they inflate it a little. They take large bets. If you want to bet under now 56 or 55.5, you'll get a really large bet.
Interesting. And how is the number here?
The professor
South Point
is totally accurate. 56.5, Brent. And now, as we speak, 56. So anytime we've gone to 56 in the last 24 hours, immediate under money has come in. And to Roxy's point, every parlay is either Patriots and over or Rams and over.
If you look around town, of course, you can see that that's pretty much the trend, although I do see at Caesars. What's that number at Caesars? 55.5?
55.5. So more under money there. And as we mentioned a little while ago, stations looks like they took quite a bit of Ram money. They're sitting at Patriots too. So to Roxy's point earlier also, everybody that was waiting for 3 to come, because we had gone to 3 last Tuesday, a week ago this Tuesday. The other day, somebody came in on Friday, $300,000 on the Rams on the money line at plus 120, so we knew there would be Ram money.
Yeah. There's always this disconnect every year between the money line and the point spread that you don't see in any other game.
Yes.
And because people that like the Rams, this hasn't changed since the beginning of time. People like the underdog, they'll take the money line, right?
Yep.
People like the favorite like to lay the points. So there's a disconnect in this game right now. So if you were betting the Patriots, I'd just assume bet them on the money line because the money lines are 125, 130. This is something that you don't see games that are teetering between 2 and 3. And the other thing is, well, Brent says, well, the games haven't fallen or 1 or 2. But if you don't make that many bets a year, I don't want to go home and tell my wife, but honey, we had the best of it.
Well, where's the money?
Yeah, that's right. She wants to see the cash, right?
Let's count them out.
So,
Roxy, did you take a side in this game?
I did. It's interesting. My data had the Rams a better team, and we talked to Las Vegas Chris, or also known as Bangkok Chris, about this. Showed the Rams a slightly better team, but the one fall down in the Rams was their pass defense, and when you look in the internals, boy, that's the one thing you don't want to be bad against versus the Patriots. And I do have one prop. We talked about how everybody's betting props now, and I haven't looked at them for when they first came out. I thought it was nonsense, but. What can I say? Another wrong call I made.
But you had the best of it.
Yeah. But I think as Rufus Peabody said, if you want to bet under in the props, under yardage or under anything, it's better to wait to the day of the game.
Right.
And James White I sort of like him under in the rushing yards at 17.5, and I like him combined under on the receiving and rushing yards at 70.5. But when you bet props, it changes the way you look at a game. Because every time the offense comes out, you want to see on where's this receiver lined up, where's this guy lined up. And if you're under, you want Brady to look this way, and you want your guy to go that way. It really changes your perspective on the game, though.
Exactly. You can't enjoy it.
I agree.
You're not watching the game. You're watching bodies. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Roxy, it's always a treat, Remember, the Super Bowl will be back next year, and so will you, my friend.
Hey, I'll be here.
Okay, take care. Roxy Roxborough, legend around Las Vegas, and we'll be back to close it up. VSiN.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at VSiN.com.
Who's going to win the big game? I think you make a case for both teams. I think it's a great matchup. Patriots, could they actually lose 2 big games back-to-back? They've never done that before. They've won 2 back-to-back, but never lost 2 back-to-back. You've got such a contrast in age and coaching quarterback for the Patriots to coaching quarterback for the Rams. Again, you make a case for both teams, but I lean toward the Rams a little bit. They were the best team in football through the first 8 weeks of the season. I'll be happy to root for whoever we need, but I think you make a good case for the Rams, especially getting points.
I wish I knew who was exactly going to win, but here's my prediction. When you look at and you break down the strengths of these teams and the deficiencies of these teams and how they've gotten to this point, I'm going to go with a little bit more experience. I'm going to say that the Patriots 34, Rams 24, what will be an exciting game and a game that'll be filled with lots of action on the field and at the betting counter.
Boy, that's a really tough question. I remember, obviously, when the Patriots really came to, and the team they beat was the Rams, and I think this would be a really nice way to end that 18, 19-year run that the Patriots have had, having the Rams win this one. So I'm going to go with the Rams.
If you ask me today, I'm going to say the Patriots. Looking like about a 20-17 score, but I may change tomorrow. I've been changing. I originally thought it was going to be the Rams. Today I think it's the Patriots. But if you nail it down today, Patriots.
I like New England in this year's edition of the Super Bowl. I think the experience factor with Brady over Goff is important, and I also think Brady will be able to convert in the red zone much better than New Orleans did in the NFC Championship game.
I'm sticking with the New England Patriots to win the Super Bowl. I think that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick will have a master plan and will be very successful against the Rams in this Super Bowl. So I'm sticking with the Patriots and laying the points.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204 and vsin.com.
Well, the difference between this Super Bowl and all the previous ones, there are other states where you can bet. New Jersey, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Delaware, New Mexico, and West Virginia. We welcome in Patrick Everson from Covers, one of our buddies here at vSIN. And Patrick, those other states, who do they need today?
Well, probably not surprising. They need the Rams as well, particularly FanDuel Sportsbook in New Jersey, Brent, with their operation at the Meadowlands and, of course, their online shop. They're just overwhelmed on money line and spread with Patriots money. They were overwhelmed by, all along. It was really ridiculous earlier this morning, somewhere around 80% money line, 70% spread. And I just checked back with John Sheeran. He is the risk manager there for FanDuel. I just checked back with him a few minutes ago, and he said, hey, not much has changed. We are big, big Rams fans today.
All right, Patrick, thanks for that update. We will be checking in with you throughout the day. The BetCast is coming up next. Vinny, as we head for Matt Humans, what are the numbers here at the South Point and around Las Vegas?
Patriots here at the South Point, 2.5, the total 56. Brent, money line up a little bit from 130 to 133, plus 123 on the Rams. And you can see, looks like there's 2 at the stations. So,
all right. So that is going to do it for My Guys in the Desert. The BetCast is coming up next with Matty Humans. Michael Lamarty will be alongside, and we'll have some great insight. In-game wagering. That is what is next. Remember, cash and tickets is what it's all about. So long, everybody.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch vSIN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Matt, tell us about the BetCast. This is so much fun. You did it.
It's the fastest growing action option for bettors. And vSIN has all the analysis you need to take action on the live action. Tune in February 3rd for vSIN's Big Game BetCast between the Patriots and Rams. We'll expose the constantly changing lines during the game from multiple sportsbooks as the game unfolds. We'll also follow all the actionable props as they cash during the game. Plus, we'll have live in-game updates throughout the game from odds makers setting the lines as the game unfolds. And you won't want to miss our special halftime show. I'll be the anchor, and I'll be joined by Gil Alexander, Mitch Moss, and Paulie Howard. We'll have opinions you can bet on. It's vSIN's Big Game BetCast, live on February 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Tune into vSIN during the big game to take sharp action on the live action.
If you didn't catch vSIN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Matt, tell us about the BetCast. This is so much fun. You did it for the national championship game, and